Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video, at long last, something which I've been meaning to do for such a long time now. This is to check out the Thermaltake S100 TG in Snow. Now, for those of you that watch the channel for a reasonable amount of time, you'll know that this is the case that generally when we're quoting our Micro ATX builds or we're looking for a budget case, this is one of the ones which I always recommend. At the moment here in the UK, this is coming in for a fantastic price. You're looking at somewhere around the £39.99 mark from scan.co.uk. Other suppliers do have it for similar prices, and it's also been on Amazon at times for only £30. So potentially this could be an absolute cracking deal. As we all know, prices for computer parts in general seem to be skyrocketing. So when you can find a case on the market which appears to have a good price, looks to be good quality, then really you've got to check it out, and I'm glad I actually have. I should say this has been sent over to us free of charge for review purposes from Thermaltake UK. Big shout out to you. And they haven't asked me to say or do anything. And in fact, I actually requested this. I asked if they had any review stock available, which they said they didn't, but they did have a supplier that had some. So they did a little bit of background magic. And lo and behold, we end up with the Thermaltake S100 TG in Snow. Now, there's two versions of this case available. The Snow version being the white version with the black accents. And there's also a black version as well, which is all blacked out. So all very nice, and there should be something for everyone. Now, some of the key features of this case, even though it is really cheap comparatively, is some of the features of it. Now, the first thing is the fact it's got a tempered glass side panel. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's not particularly unusual. But if you look at the cheaper end of cases at the moment, it's actually starting to become a thing where acrylic is starting to make a comeback. And we definitely don't want to go down that route. And also, it's nice to see that they've actually attached the tempered side glass panel in a sensible way. So as you can see, there are no thumb screws or any craziness like that. It is hinged and it's very easy to open, completely toolless. All you need is a digit, and there's a little recess here, and you can just pop it open. And this, as you can see, will open the case up completely if I don't hit the monitor in the background there. So yeah, really easy access. So if you're someone much like me, where you're constantly tweaking things or messing around, or even just want to do some routine maintenance, very, very easy to access. And also, it's good that they've actually used a nice thick piece of glass. It's a 4mm tempered glass side panel with a very, very delicate smoke tint to it, and magnets on there as well to close it, which is excellent. Something which some of you may not like is going to be the front panel. So let's turn it around and you can have a closer look. Yeah. It's completely solid, which for some people is going to be an absolute blessing because they just don't like all the RGB gimmickry and fans and all that kind of stuff. And they just want a simple PC case which is going to fit in with their media center or their business or whatever it might be. They just want a slightly more muted look and, well, a plain panel other than a very small discreet Thermaltake logo at the bottom is all you're going to see on the outward side. So if you want, it can be a business at the front, party in the back. And the back side isn't much different, so you've still got some ventilation down the side here, and you can actually see through there. The ventilation on this, a lot of you are probably thinking already, man, that thing's choked. It really, really isn't. The ventilation on the side has been done very, very well. It's very open, so it does allow air to flow, and there's actually room for 3 fans in the front to pull that air in. So don't worry if you're worrying about this being somewhat restricted. It definitely isn't. So the back is a pretty much standard affair, not a great deal going on here. You have got room in the back for a 120mm fan with a little bit of height adjustment. It does come included with Thermaltake's own 120mm fan. It's nothing particularly outrageous, but it is included free of charge, so you can choose to use it if you want to. It is only a 3-pin DC rather than a preferable 4-pin PWM, but in a pinch, if you're trying to save some money, at least it's a fan which is included for nothing. Moving down from there, we've got our PCI Express blanking plates. Sadly, due to where this sits in terms of pricing, these are actually captive ones which will require to be folded out, so do those before you install your motherboard so you don't damage any capacitors. But it isn't actually all bad because they do actually include in the accessories kit 2 replacement panels. So if you do put a graphics card in, a 2-slot version, and you fold out 2 and then you decide actually I want to make an APU build in this, you can replace those 2 and it looks still quite nice. Would have been nice for them to include 4 of them. I can't see it would have cost a great deal more, but it is what it is. Also in the accessories bag, I should mention, one of the key things which we really do like here at Mike's Unboxing is a BIOS speaker. This is somewhat of a dying art of diagnostics. So if you've got your brand new build, you put it all together, you press the power button and you've got absolutely diddly squat on the screen. What do? Well, if your motherboard hasn't got a diagnostic LED or some kind of debug, then listening to your BIOS bleeps is going to be one of those ways where you can work out what is going on. So nice one, Thermaltake, for including that. And also nice one for including a bunch of cable ties to help tidy up the build. And of course, all of the screws necessary to put a motherboard in, hard drives, fans, etc. It does also come with a installation guidebook as well, with a breakdown of all the features. So if you do want to check that out, you can do as well. This is actually available as a PDF on the website, which I'll try and link in the video description. So if you want to see more details, you certainly can. And also I'll put links for Thermaltake actually for this case, so you can have a closer look at specifications, and also for Scan and possibly Amazon if you want to pick a case up there as well. Now, before we take a look at either the top or the bottom, whichever one I decide to do next, let's talk about the actual specifications of what physically fits inside this case. Now, most of you have probably recognized already, this is a Micro ATX case, and it will only fit Micro ATX motherboards and ITX boards should you wish to. When it comes to CPU cooling, if you're going for a traditional air tower cooler, you can fit one in there up to 165mm in height, which pretty much covers most bases these days. When it comes to graphics cards, you can fit a graphics card in here up to 330mm in length. So again, not much of a restriction there. You should be able to put in pretty much anything you want to in here, at least within your budget. And when it comes to the power supply, actually surprisingly a lot of room for the power supply, because they put in a half height drive bay in the back, which we'll show you later. You can put in up to 160mm power supply, although potentially you could put larger in if you decide to remove the drive rack. When it comes to the actual dimensions of the case, the height, the width and the depth, those will be on the screen now. Right, next we'll take a look at the bottom section. So you've got 4 chunky feet on there to raise it up off the deck a little bit more, allow a little bit of airflow in for the power supply. There is a power supply shield there and a dust filter. If you're mounting the power supply, you can actually mount it either way up or face down. The choice is yours. There is ventilation on both sides. And if you're going to be putting this onto carpet, which I would potentially not recommend, you can turn the power supply the other way so it doesn't pull in all those dust and fibers. When it comes to the drive mounting, there is a drive mounting in there, and there's actually 2 screws, of which I've removed at the moment, but you're probably seeing from the B-roll. Undo the 2 screws and you can adjust the drive sled about 1 inch either side, just if you want to make room for fans, radiators, that kind of stuff. Moving round to the top section, so you see here we've got a removable magnetic filter, pretty standard affair, and also in here something which is actually really unusual. You can put in here 2 120s or 2 140mm fans. You can also put in a 120, a 140, a 240 or a 280mm radiator, and also you can just about make out there are the holes there. You can put in a 200mm fan in the top of this case, which is actually something which I've been dying to do for a very long time. Now I know Thermaltake do a 200mm RGB fan. Unfortunately, we don't have one of those on hand, but when I do the build in this, I will be putting, at long last, the Noctua NF20 in there. It's been a long time and hopefully it'll fit. Fingers crossed. If you want to find out if it does, hit the subscribe button and the chime notification and you'll see our future videos, including hopefully the build in this thing. Now next we'll move on to the front I/O, which is up here, and yes, it does look a little bit like a microwave, I do understand, so my apologies Thermaltake. So at the top you've got the cook button, the on-off button. Underneath that you've got 2 LEDs for your food is done or timer. It's not hard drive LED and power LED, and you've got a reset button or open door. Underneath that you've got some USB ports, so you've got a USB 3.0, 2 USB 2.0, and you've got a lovely dedicated headphone and microphone jack separation there, so we like to see those. That's absolutely excellent. So before we actually take a look inside, let's take a look at what is behind this, because this is where the magic happens, believe it or not. So you have got the perforations down both sides, which you're probably seeing, and this front panel comes off with relative ease. There is a grab handle on the bottom, so it just requires a little bit of a yank and it should come off. I would suggest possibly opening up the glass a little bit, because there are magnets there and there, which attach in there and there, so this will provide less friction. So let's give it a go and hopefully I don't knock the camera off the table. So after busting a blood vessel, this thing come off, and as you can see, solid metal on the front with plastic side runners, and you can see the ventilation on the side. It's really open. It isn't going to do a tremendous amount for dust filtration, but having said that, because this is going to be at kind of pretty much a 90-degree angle, so the dust is going to have to go in and be pulled round. So most of it is going to end up settling there anyway. This isn't going to be a tremendous dust magnet, and it's nice and easy to clean. In terms of breathability, you can breathe through here very easily indeed. So now we can take a little bit of a look inside. So as you can see, this section here, very nice and open. So depending what you want to put in here, The world is kind of your oyster with this, although I have tried to fit a 360mm radiator and it is challenging, let's say. So potentially you could do it, but it is going to be an extreme squeeze and you may need to deform the case slightly at the bottom and potentially at the top slightly to get it to all fit, but there's a possibility. Now officially, Thermaltake are saying that you can put in here a 240 or a 280mm radiator, or conversely, you can put in 3 120 fans or 2 140 fans. So lots of options there for cooling, depending on what you want to do. Personally, I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more height in the case, just to maybe fit in a 360mm rad in there. I think that would have been a really nice option. Having said that, I'm not a particularly big fan of having front mounted radiators. I do prefer to have them in the top. So maybe a little bit of length in it would have been better, but then that goes against the whole Micro ATX ethos. So to have a look inside, I will get rid of this glass panel. And the glass panel, because it is hinged, it's very easy to remove and just lift it off its hinges and put it to one side. So taking a look inside, actually really nice and spacious considering it is a Micro ATX case. We have got the included fan at the back there with the 3-pin connection. Pretty much most of this we've gone over already, so I'm not going to elaborate too much, but you have got a display window there. So if you've got a nice power supply, you can put it on show there and show the logos off. You do have a ventilated section here. So again, if you want to put your power supply face up, you can do, because it'll pull in cool air from there. Well, coolish, depending on how hot your PC is. Nice amount of pass-throughs here. So you've got one there, one there, one there. So that's going to pretty much cover most bases. So you're likely to have your HD audio in this section here, a couple of USBs or maybe, I don't know, some LEDs or something in there. And your front panel I/O is pretty much always going to end up in this position here. So nice and easy to wire through. You've also got this really nice cutout at the front. This is something which I'm particularly pleased about because a lot of graphics cards now, big connectors, lots of cables, etc. And it's a bit of a pain in the backside to route it all through. So you can just pull up your cables there. So if you've got 20 series, 30 series graphics card, plug it in the back there. It's going to make things nice and neat. You've also got 3 pass-throughs on the side. So for USB 3.0 front panel headers, that kind of thing. Main ATX power, again, lots of options there. And I'm actually kind of glad they didn't put grommets in, because I think if they'd have put grommets in, the chances are they would have gone with black grommets, which I think would have stood out like a sore thumb. So I'm actually glad they didn't in this instance. When it comes to the SOP section for wiring in things like your EPS and other things, maybe you've got some radiator stuff going on at the top or some fans. You've got 2 pass-throughs at the top and also another further one a little bit higher up again, which you're probably getting some close-ups of. Actually as well, nice gap between the top of the motherboard and the top of the case, so making it easier to put in your radiators. There's a good 55 mils gap there, I want to say 55, maybe 60, so plenty of room in that top section if you want to put a radiator. And also if you're going for a 240, then there is a nice offset as well to try and keep it away from your VRMs and your EPS cable, so access will still be able even when that's installed. Overall though, I think they've done a cracking job here. Little touches as well, like there's a little fold over of metal here, which just protects the front I/O section from getting damaged when you're installing things, or if you're trying to put a rad and you push too far up, so to save it being like electrocuted and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's really good. You have all the pillars are actually pre-installed, so hopefully we won't have people on the Discord saying I've just built a PC in one of these cases and for some reason it went pop. This is excellent because all the pillars are in the correct place for Micro ATX straight out of the box. Last of all, we'll take a look in the back. So nice and easy to do, a couple of thumb screws, and you can remove the side panel. There's rubber bits everywhere as well to try and dampen down any vibrations and all that kind of stuff. So they've thought about a lot of things. There's actually quite a lot of quality stuff going on in here, surprisingly how cheap it is as well. So cable management is going to be pretty straightforward. You've got a nice bit of depth there. You've also got tons of pass-throughs, like I said, so EPS type thing going on here, or for fans. More cutouts along here, punch outs as well for cable management. I've already managed the cables for the front I/O into there, pass-throughs there. You've got 2 drive mounts there, so you can put 2.5-inch drives on there, either mechanical or SSDs. Thumb screws, so you can just take those out, use them if you want to. At the bottom here, you've got a drive cage, which will hold a 3.5-inch drive in the plastic sled. If I can get it out. And plastic sled there, take 3.5-inch drives or 2.5-inch drives. The actual drive caddy or carriage, whatever you want to call it, on a thumb screw. Take the thumb screw out, pull that towards you, and the whole thing comes out. So again, if you want to, you can attach a 3.5-inch drive on the top or a 2.5-inch drive. So 2.5 on the top, 3 or 2.5 on there. So up to 4 drives in here really. You could possibly squeeze in another somehow, but yeah, 4 is basically what they're saying. So 2 3.5s, 2 2.5s on there, and of course whatever else you can fit onto your motherboard in terms of M.2s. I think plenty of room for what it needs to be. Again, lots of room in the bottom here in the power supply basement section. This caddy can go in 2 positions, towards the front or towards the rear, and you're probably seeing some B-roll when I had a power supply in here earlier. Even with the power supply installed, still very easy to get all of your cables up through. So the one which is always a pain in the backside is the HD audio. Putting that through, even with the power supply installed, goes through easily. So yeah, nice gap there for building purposes, which I do appreciate. Now actually, talking of the front I/O, obviously it just replicates what we saw on the front already. So you have got the HD audio jack, you've got your power, hard drive LED, reset switches, etc. And you've got your USB 2.0, and also there is a single USB 3.0. So overall, I think this is a pretty cracking case for the money. For $39.99, or sometimes even cheaper when it's offer, I think this is an absolutely amazing deal. So now we've broken all this down, the next thing is for me to wrap this video up, because that is it. We're not going to be doing a build in this at the moment. We will be doing a build in this, but I'm still waiting for a Micro ATX motherboard. So if you've actually got any suggestions on what you'd like to see in here, please do let us know in the comments section below. And also, as always, if you've got any comments or questions about this specific case, please do let us know in the comments section, or alternatively, if you want a quicker answer, you can head over to our Discord. It's completely free of charge, and there is dedicated tech support rooms, which you're more than welcome to ask any questions you may have regarding this or any other questions tech related. So overall, Thermaltake S100 TG Snow, very impressed, very glad finally got my hands on it. I'm actually itching to get a build done in this. I'm going to be straight on the computer after this video to look for a Micro ATX motherboard suitable to go in here, so we can get that all done. But yeah, overall, very impressed, very pleased, like it a lot. Hopefully you do too. If you did like this video, smash that like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, hit subscribe and the chime notification, and you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.